Moving on to the Philadelphia Eagles fly. Eagles fly. I know we have a lot of Eagles fans in the chat here. Shout out Sherm. Shout out all the Eagles fans watching this right now on YouTube. They need a cornerback, a wide receiver, a linebacker. They have two first-round picks, one at 15, one at 18. Then they have the 51st pick in the second round. We just talked about them possibly moving up for a Kayvon Thibodeaux. We all kind of really sold that. So, AJ, where do the Philadelphia Eagles need to go in the first round?
All right. So round one, pick 18 is where I'm going. And I've been very excited about this team because I've been looking for a player, and at this position I'm picking, that just kind of fits what Philadelphia means. That gritty, that mean, that anger, that violence. And the guy I went with here is going to fit that perfectly. And that's Devin Lloyd, the linebacker out of Utah. If you ask me, he is in the argument for the most complete linebacker in this draft. There's some guys we've talked about fairly highly, but this guy is a stud. Led his team with 110 tackles, 8 sacks, and 6 pass breakups last season. Ranked second in the FBS for 22 tackles for loss. And my favorite part is he's a thumper. If he hits you, you are going to feel it. And I get it. The best way to tackle, wrap him up, drive him through. But this is one of those rare guys that he can put a shoulder into you, and you will more than likely go down. He can play multiple positions, which means he's hard to scheme for because you can put him all over that defensive side of the ball, and you never know where the ferocity is coming from. I think he's got very few. Once again, this is a guy you'll nitpick when you're looking for things to fix. He can overplay a little bit because he's so excited to get in the backfield, but he's also got the pursuit and the talent to chase you down if he does that. Devin Lloyd, anybody who gets him is going to be very, very happy. I think the Philadelphia Eagles would be a great spot for him. So I have him slotted round one, pick 18 to the Philadelphia Eagles.
I mean, that's one of my favorite linebackers in the draft, obviously. You mentioned his ability to play multiple positions. He's actually really effective as a pass rusher from the outside. They lined him up there a few times at Utah. Good pick there, but you talked about what fits Philadelphia. And what I've known being a fan of the NFC East and the Dallas Cowboys is they are known for that defensive line, the Fletcher Cox, the Brandon Grahams, those kind of guys. So I went with the same pick there with pick one or round one, pick 18, but I went to the D line as they get older. I think they bring somebody in that's a mean, nasty guy, and it's Devontae Wyatt from we're talking about one of the best defenses ever in college football in Georgia. And this was a guy that was a reason for that. Devontae Wyatt is just mean. His versatility and his ability to play 3-0 tech is just, again, we talked about having Jordan Davis there and those guys. This guy has a great first step. He explodes off the ball. He can fight across offensive linemen's face. This is a guy that brings momentum, power to a defensive line that is getting older. And we talked about Philadelphia. They're built on that defense and offensive line. That's how they won the Super Bowl in 2017. I think they get back to that here. I think they probably go receiver with that first pick, and then they look at 18 and they say, you know what, let's go ahead and get our replacements for our Fletcher Coxes in a couple of years. Let's go get a Devontae Wyatt who can come in and play right away, but is also going to be a staple in the middle of that defense for years to come.
So that's interesting. You both have pick 18, and if wide receiver is going at the first round pick at 15, you guys are kind of at a little dispute here on which one the Eagles need to do. I decided not to go the route of a first-round pick. I decided to go in the second round here. I think I'm not necessarily sold that they have to go receiver with the 15th pick. They probably should, and they could still take my guy here in the second round at pick 51. I am going with my hometown. I'm going with my team here. I'm going with John Mechie, the wide receiver out of Alabama, with the second round pick 51. This guy he's got everything, in my opinion. He's got everything. He's coming off the ACL injury. He would have been a first round pick without that ACL injury. He's got an elite route tree. He gets open pretty much anywhere on the field. He's explosive. He sees the ball well. I will give him the knock on him and say he needs to work on his hands, and he's not really the fastest receiver. So that kind of puts him back in that second round range. Kind of fits perfectly there. Had over 1,000 yards this past season, almost over 1,000 yards in the season prior. And a little fun fact about John Mechie. He was born in Taiwan. And AJ, this can be for you for tomorrow. Born in Taiwan, moved to Canada when he was 1. He is the back-to-back John Cornish Award winner, which is given out to the Canadian college football athlete of the year, basically. Back-to-back winner. The year prior was Chuba Hubbard, who is now running back for the Carolina Panthers. But other than that, this is a perfect pick for the Philadelphia Eagles to, I mean, you have DeVonta Smith, and you have Jalen Hurts, and then adding in a John Mechie, who is a big-time playmaker. I mentioned his elite route tree. He can do special things, and I think that would be a perfect pairing for Jalen Hurts moving forward.
Go ahead, AJ. I know you have something. I do too, but go ahead.
So I wanted to bring up our guy Sherm, the Eagles fanatic here. Says, please note a wide receiver. They need to bolster the defense.
You going in with Jalen Reagor?
Yeah, right.
Who else are you going to go with? What other wide receivers you got? You still rolling with the same wide receivers?
See, and see, I wasn't even going that route. Like, yeah, I know for a fact Eagles fans just cried about Jalen Reagor all season, rightfully so. But while I agree that they need to add to the defense, I don't think it's like the biggest thing that they need to just focus on. I mean, you look at some of the guys they still have, a Brandon Graham, a Josh Sweat. They got Fletcher Cox back, Javon Hargrave. A lot of people don't feel great about Derek Barnett. That's fine. Kaiser White was very helpful in Los Angeles. TJ Edwards was a double-digit tackle guy all last season. And then you just brought in Hassan Reddick. Darius Slay's in the back. Avonte Maddox was helping. I definitely think they can add to the defense.
Wait. Just because you list off the depth chart doesn't make the defense good. That is an aging defense up front and a bad defense on the back end outside of Darius Slay. Sherm is actually
Maddox
right
was
here.
Definitely. Avonte Maddox was very serviceable last season.
Sherm is right. We focus so much on wide receivers, and we have been for the Philadelphia Eagles since they had Carson Wentz because that was the excuse. They don't have wide receivers. They don't have weapons. They got one of the better tight ends in football, a first-round pick in DeVonta Smith, two really good running backs, and yet we still focus on that. A really good offensive line when they're healthy. Their defense needs help. Did you not watch the playoff game last year against Tampa? That defense was atrocious. And yes, the offense wasn't great, but that defense was atrocious. I agree with him. There is more depth at wide receiver to where you can address it like Vinny did later than going out and getting one of the best wide receivers in the draft, because you did that last year in your number one pick. In a perfect world, the Eagles should go defensive line and corner with those two picks. If McDuffie's there, it should be McDuffie and a defensive lineman or an edge rusher or something like that. But to say they have to take a wide receiver at 15, which I've heard every analyst say, I think it's dumb. I think it's because they want to force Jalen Hurts. They want to say, well, we have to see what Jalen Hurts has. Well, Jalen Hurts can be the greatest quarterback ever. If your defense sucks, then it doesn't matter.
Two quick sentences. I understand they did not show up in the playoffs, but they were a lot better throughout the season than most people thought on that defensive side of the ball.
I think with
bad.
this entire draft, though, with how deep the wide receiver class is, I think that it's like, I don't think any team has to go wide receiver early because of how deep this wide receiver class is. And it makes perfect sense for the Eagles to be able to go defense.
When I say has to, I'm talking about teams that getting that receiver will change their course of their team, specifically even this year. Teams like New Orleans, if with that team already, you go put another receiver next to Michael Thomas or just that's going to impact that team significantly. Just because you go out and get a Chris Olave, if you're Philadelphia, are we going to come here next year and say the same thing? Well, it turned out to be Jalen Reagor. Like, they've done this over and over and over again, and they haven't hit those receivers. So why not build the way you built when you won a championship? They just came off a championship. I think, to me, that's what I would be focusing on, especially with the growth of DeVonta Smith throughout the course of last year. But Bailey had something in here about Devontae Wyatt's character concerns. Sorry, producer, that's my fault. I should have let you do it.
You're good. I honestly guessed wrong, so it's okay.
The reports are not false, but I tend to less care about those things when everybody still has him projected to go in the first round. Like, to me, it's like teams are not changing their stance on what kind of player he is, which means those reports are probably not. They're probably blown a little bit out of proportion. So it is a concern, but I don't think it's a huge deal.
Hey, last time you didn't care about a report, it ended up coming back to bite you in the butt. So you might want to start caring about that guy.
Shut up. No, it's not that I didn't care about it. I forgot about it.
I know.
That season is wild.